Hey guys, it's Michelle. I'm just kind of getting settled in for another episode of Coaching from the Couch. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about the most frustrated and, I gotta be honest, the most frustrating group of entrepreneurs and what they have in common. And the reason that I want to talk with you guys about this today is because being a frustrated entrepreneur, I find is one of the most frustrating ways to exist in the world, right? When you're an entrepreneur, you think about it like you have this dream, you have a vision, you have a calling, you have something that you birthed in your soul, whether that's a vision for how you want to live life or how you want to raise your kids, or a vision for what you want to bring to the world. Good morning, Kathy. I actually mentioned you in the Entrepreneurial Espresso this morning, so I hope that you saw that. But it's a very frustrating thing because you go into being an entrepreneur with such high hopes, and a lot of times I feel like there's some fairy dust and some unicorn wishing going on when you go into being an entrepreneur. We kind of see things through rose-colored glasses anyway. That's kind of who we are. And so that's how we go into our entrepreneurial journey. We are excited. We know it's going to work out for us. We feel called. We feel like this is our time and all of that. And so when an entrepreneur gets frustrated, it's a really sad thing because it's not just like a business that dies on the battlefield. It's a dream. It's attached to your heart. It is promises maybe that you made to your spouse, promises that you made to your kids, dreams that you were really working towards for yourself. And so it's not so much like I don't like my job anymore, or I'm feeling unappreciated at work. It is a deeper frustration than that. And so I really hate for entrepreneurs to get, this is Sophie in the background. Hi, Sophina. So hi, Sophina. Hi there. That's my Sophina. There she is. Hi there. So when an entrepreneur gets frustrated, it's super sad to me. I cannot tell you how sad it is for me. However, I can tell you that a lot of the most frustrated, particularly women entrepreneurs, a lot of them have one thing in common, and that is that they lack clear decision. Right? They just don't ever decide. They decide for the moment, right? They decide for the moment, but they don't commit for the long haul. Part of it is we kind of sell entrepreneurialism in that fairy dust package, right? We kind of sell it as like the best thing, like be your own boss. Like that sounds good, but good Lord, like being your own boss is hard, right? Like when there is no boss, then everything kind of falls on you. Everything lands in your lap. And so there's that part of it, right? But the real thing that they have in common is that they just haven't decided. And what I mean by that is they go into being an entrepreneur and they're kind of sold out to this vision of making a lot of money on their own terms, right? Like not having to like sell out to a job or whatever. And I completely applaud that. I think that's absolutely possible. I know it's possible. I've done it. I quit my job and started my own business with an investment of $50. I mean, like I know it's possible. This is the life that I lead. However, it didn't happen right away. It could have happened a lot sooner for me. I want to talk a little bit about that later on. I might cover it in this live stream, but about my love of the game versus and kind of being attached to the story, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So lack of decision, lack of clear decision. What I mean by that is that they kind of go in with a vision of what they want, but they don't have a clear vision of who they are in that dream, right? So they go in and let's say they're going to be lots of people start out in multi-level marketing. Let's say they're going to be a rock star multi-level marketer. They're going to be the one in the top 2% of the company. They're going to be making a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. And that's how they get into the entrepreneurial world. That's where the entrepreneurial kind of bug bit them. That's where the dream started. And then they jump ship, right? Somewhere along the line, they decide they don't want to sell whatever. They want to sell health coaching, right? So they start to, go into health coaching. And so they still want this vision of a lot of money for, something that they, are excited to wake up and do in the morning. But they haven't envisioned themselves in that. They haven't really made themselves part of that equation. They have not gone in and said, this is who I am in the marketplace, right? They've said, I'm willing to be whatever you want me to be as long as you pay me $1, right? That's what they've said. And they don't say that with words, but they say that by jump and jump and jump and jump. And it's like, well, if this doesn't work, then I'll try this. And this doesn't work, I'll try this. And so I'm okay with that, with like strategy and techniques and tools and stuff like that. But what I see is that they are not making a clear stand for who they are in the marketplace. The truth is, it doesn't matter what you sell. You can absolutely sell, supplements one year and then, get deeper into health coaching another year. And then maybe you are doing business. It doesn't matter what you sell, because the truth is the people who make the most money in any industry, they get paid for who they are, right? It's like who they be, not what they do, if that makes sense, right? So, they haven't decided who they're going to be in their market. When I used to run these 3-day retreats called, I don't even think I called them anything. I think they're just like for enterprising experts is what I called them. But when I ran those, the first thing that I had people decide was who are they going to be in the marketplace? Not necessarily what they're going to sell in the marketplace. Who are they going to be and to whom, right? What role are they going to serve? And I found that the most frustrated entrepreneurs, they never lock that in. Why? Because they're looking to see what other people are selling. They spend a butt ton of time looking at other people's sales pages, and then they go back and they tweak their own, and they have their own like #MeToo movement going on, right? Like they look at this sales page like, well, I'll add that, #MeToo. Or they look at what this person is selling or what this person is doing, and they're like, well, he's doing this, so #MeToo, I'll do it too. And what happens is, slowly but surely, and usually even quicker, it is something that they are, that they're cutting themselves out of the equation. And there's just no energy there. There's no magnetic energy when you are constantly looking from side to side and then looking at what other people are doing. I read a ton. Okay, I read a ton. I read a lot less than I used to because I don't want to be almost like, I don't want my own voice to be bastardized by what I'm reading. So I never read in the mornings anymore. I read my Bible and I read like one or two like little brief things for entrepreneurship or marketing or positioning or packaging from people that I trust. And then I get right into my own message, because I cannot afford to have an energy that is oh, Michelle does that too kind of energy, right? That's something that will definitely leave you frustrated, particularly in the expert space. You've got to know who you are and why people are hiring you to do what you do. I was just reading about, who is it? I never forget. I never remember his first name. His last name was Lipton, in Lipton tea. And it was after like the Civil War that he began this business in Lipton tea. And he just made himself into this celebrity. Dr. Brinkley did the same thing. We know, current people who have done the same thing, where they are more than just what they sell. It's who they are in the marketplace. It's the energy that they bring to the marketplace. And when you are undecided about what you're going to be, then it starts to just erode your confidence, your magnetism. People aren't like signing up and waiting to work with you and raising their hand, because you're just like everybody else, and they don't know the role that you want to play in their life. I used to really, Barry said, I see this all the time in my industry. Barry is in the yoga industry, right? She runs the Skillful Yogi. Credibility is lost too when who you are keeps shifting. Absolutely. There are certain parts of me that I wish I could shift. And I've tried to shift, right? I'll never forget that the first time that I had, it was actually my mother-in-law. She loves to take pictures. And I had her take pictures of me at this speaking engagement. And it sounds bad, but it was actually pretty good. Like I had on this like white, if I'm wearing a white suit, I feel pretty good about my body. But it was like a white and gray kind of seersucker little suit. And that sounds like it was really bad. It was a cute little suit. And I felt so good. And I go into this speaking engagement, and I swear to you, she took like 200 pictures, and every single one of them, I was like scowling at the camera, and I'm like, dear God, you know, I see these other speakers, you know, headshots, and they're like smiling, and they're, you know, so like, you've seen them, right? You've seen these female speakers' headshots, and that's just not me. I've tried a few different times to be photographed while I'm speaking. I always look mad, but the truth is I'm not mad. I'm intense. And you know who I have that in common with? Gary Vaynerchuk. Any picture you ever take with him, he's scowling. Right? Any picture. And so the truth is, like, there are things that I wish I could change about who I am. I know that the no BS approach to business and the daily habit approach to business and the, you know, do it until it takes approach to business. I know there are easier things to sell out there, right? Like, we live in a world where people would rather buy, like, you know, the magic formula to whatever, right? I sell something that's damn near impossible to sell these days, which is work, right? So yeah, but when the most frustrated entrepreneurs, they never decide. They're constantly allowing the market to bastardize who they are in the marketplace. In other words, they're letting their market lead them, right? They're letting their market lead them. And it's weird. I'll tell you another thing. A lot of big names, you can pay them for access to them, right? And you look at any big names, and they're not exactly paying for access to other people, right? I'm going to be talking more about that because I have access to some really amazing people, people that run ideas past me that own household names in business, and I've never paid for access, not to any of them, ever. And that's a very deliberate thing. Now, could I have maybe grown my business faster if I was willing to do that? I don't know, actually. I don't know, because they would have always seen me as someone paying to be with them versus someone who kind of got it on her own, who had the guts and the balls and the audacity to show up as one of their peers, even when I was like so not. So, but anyway, so that is the most common thing I find that frustrated entrepreneurs have in common. So if you are a frustrated entrepreneur, then we really need to look inward. And honestly, I think all of us can do this, including myself, right? Where am I rubbing off the sharp edges of who I am in the marketplace? Where am I letting the market lead me? In other words, where am I letting the market dictate my message, my packaging, my pricing? Right? Like, where am I letting the market dictate me and lead me around by the nose, right? I am, I think the school used to call it, I had a problem with authority, right? That's what they called it. But the truth is, I don't like being led, right? I don't like being led. I don't like my authority being challenged in my own life, right? And so when I go to market, this is one of the big things that saved me. I didn't even realize it was a marketing thing or a positioning ploy. I just did not want to be led. I didn't want to be part of like one other option that, you know, people could choose. I knew inherently, intuitively, that I couldn't afford to be just another whatever, right? And so Sierra, first of all, Sierra, I think you're new to me. I don't recognize your name. And if you're not new to me, please, I apologize. I'm really bad with names. I'm better with faces. But so Sierra says, I don't pay for access either. It's such an odd mindset to have in this field. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate you being here. Please, if you will put a comment in the comments below and let me know about your business or whatever it is that you do. So yeah, so that is really the thing that most people have in common. You can definitely start to bring more of yourself to market. And I promise you that the market will reward you when you are ruthlessly and authentically you, right? When you just say, you know what, I don't care what the other people in the market are doing. I don't care how they're charging. I don't care what words they're using or you know, who they're hiring to speak at their events. I don't care about any of that. I am doing it my way because that is magnetic. That is something that people grab hold of. That's something that people notice, right? in order for people to pay you money, they'll first have to pay attention. And to get them to pay attention, you've got to kind of disrupt what they're seeing everywhere else, right? So I really encourage you guys to start to do a little bit of this inquiry. Not something you got to do for a long time on one day, but really maybe something you do for a little bit of time on a lot of days, where it's like, is there any area where I'm letting the market lead me? Is there any aspect of this that I have not fully decided who I am going to be in my market or to my market, right? When you have that locked down, then competition kind of goes away. And also, you are following less people, right? Your own thinking becomes clearer when you are not looking at other people's sales pages, and you're not like playing and futzing around with what they're offering, and God forbid, sitting on this free webinar and that free webinar and this free webinar. It's like, if you're doing that, you're a hobbyist, right? You're a hobbyist. So call yourself a hobbyist and get on with it, right? But the truth is, if you're not like locking in who you are, you're going to find a very frustrated experience as an entrepreneur. Sierra says, you're not forgetting I am new. I'm a mindset coach for high achieving trauma survivors. Awesome. So glad to have you here, Sierra. Hey, Michelle McCurdy, you just came in. Diane, hey, Diane. Alicia, hey there. Kathy, Barry, Alice, Brenda. Excited to have you guys here. All right, good. So I think that about wraps up this edition of Coaching from the Couch. I'm excited to have this as one of the ways that I communicate with you guys, because it allows it to be much more casual. You guys saw my daughter just come in and out. You met Sophie earlier. She's our newest addition. She's my little shadow. And Barry says, that's exactly what I was thinking. When teachers tell me the yoga world is competitive, it tells me they haven't decided on who they are as a teacher. Absolutely, right? I just totally, I don't even get into the whole like competitive nature of it. In fact, I used to joke, a lot of times when I joke, I'm telling the truth, tidbit about me, right? I use sarcasm a lot to tell truths that otherwise might be a little bit harder for people to swallow. But I always, would say, I don't even recognize competition, right? Like, I don't even recognize competition. Partly it's like, I won't even give them the time of day, right? I don't want to focus on them. They should be focusing on me. They should be chasing me. I should be chasing them, right? I should be sweating them. And, but the truth is, I know I can stand on a truth that you will not get from any other group or any other coach what you get from Women Who Wow. It is a truism, right? It is absolutely a truth that I stand on. And it's because I come in so connected. It's a high drive environment here for women entrepreneurs, but it's also a high touch environment, meaning my fingerprints are all over it. And there's no other, it's not that I'm the best out there, but I can say that there's no other group that does what Women Who Wow does for its members. And so anyway, so I want you to figure out what you can stand on, right? I want you to stop reading their sales pages, at least before you message every day, right? Go in clean and pure, and just like talk about what is top of mind for you. Talk about what you're passionate about. Talk about what you wish you could stop thinking about, right? And this will absolutely speed up your success in the environment, right? I used to think actually that I was doing myself a favor. I think this was a technique I used to avoid regret, but I used to think and say that, you know what, I did kind of the follow, dot your I's, cross your T's, kind of follow the system for a little while in my business, a long while in my business. And I kind of had this idea that when I made it to a certain level, then I could just let my freak flag fly. Then I could just be all of myself. And it wasn't until I kind of gave up on that, being a frustrated entrepreneur myself, and I'm like, I'm just not growing as fast as I want. And I just stopped caring. I had kind of a screw this crap moment. Like, I just was like, you know what? I'm not dressing up. I never wore a suit again, by the way, on stage after that seersucker suit. I wore jeans, or I wore a sundress. I didn't dress myself up. I didn't like prepare presentations. I didn't do anything that other speakers and experts did. I just had this screw this crap moment where I'm like, I'm not looking around anymore. Like, I've got something on my own. I've got something that is raw and something that the market wants, and I'm just going to show up as all of me. And it's funny because when I did that, everything else kind of started to fall into place. And I had this story. Well, you know, I don't really feel bad about going through all those years of just kind of following the system, because I did make money and I did break 6 figures and I did well for my home, but I could have been where I am now and or further a lot faster had I just gone in and known, you know, it's not that I ever didn't know who I was. I just thought that the market wouldn't accept all of me. I thought that I had to fancy it up. I thought that I had to make it more professional. I thought that I had to do all these other things in order to make it as big as I wanted to make it. And you know, the irony was that when I finally was like, screw this, I'm just going to show up as me and take me or leave me, things started really happening. Why? Because first, people noticed me, right? They noticed me. I showed up as a peer with Gary Vaynerchuk or with Susie Orman. I just went in there like I belonged. And, you know, it was something that I made a decision to do, and then it became easier to do. Anything uncomfortable becomes easier after a while, right? But I refused to pay homage to these big names. I just went in like I was one of them, and I spoke on the same stages as them, or I had them speak on my stages. And it was a game changer because I stopped dusting myself off and polishing my parts and all to make sure that I, you know, looked a certain way or talked a certain way. Alicia says, which is why we love you. I think most, if not all of your followers, but especially members, have the same rebel feeling. It is like, I think the first person I ever heard say this was Dan Kennedy, but he said that the entrepreneurs have a one-finger salute, right? And it's true. I think all of us are kind of have that problem with authority. I think all of us have a desire to be seen and understood and heard, a desire to make an impact, and a natural, I'm trying to think of a word that is less than what I really mean, but disgust for being led or being controlled or being like, you know, hemmed in or what have you. Speaking of hemmed in, I used to have a dog named Sassy, and she was like a golden retriever / like chow mix. She was a rescue, and she was like the most dog we've ever owned in terms of like just a wild dog, and we loved her, and she was such an amazing addition to our family. And but my granddad came over one time. My granddad had hunting dogs, so he like didn't really have dogs that you would like these dogs who sleep with us and have an acupuncturist and a nutritionist and all of that. His hunting dogs were not treated that way, and so he came over. I asked him to put Sassy in the house. And he said that he hemmed her up on the deck, and she jumped over the deck onto the ground because she didn't appreciate being hemmed up. And I'm like, she's just like me. None of us want to be boxed in. So Brenda said, toe shoes was hard for all in New York, but Tommy remembers me. Absolutely, right? So Brenda came to one of Diane White's and I events in New York City where we bring in top media people. We're talking, you know, what is it, Fox News, Rachel Ray, Dr. Oz. We bring Entrepreneur Magazine, Business Insider, bring all of these into one room, and we have people pitch them. So if you're interested in that, and you know, let me know. But yeah, so Brenda was there, and she is the tiny living expert. And so she wore little toe shoes, right? Like not like, you know, pointy-toed shoes or whatever, little toe shoes, you know, the kind that you see each toe in. And but you know what? Tommy from Rachel Ray remembered her, and he's been after her actually to write a book and get it to him so he can feature her on Rachel Ray. So absolutely stand out. In fact, you want to do anything to stand out. You don't want to be like hokey with it, I guess. Like, you know, I hate to see people who are doing like obvious, crass ways to get attention that aren't backed up by any real difference. But you do want to be willing to go out on a limb and be fully yourself and not doctor yourself up or, you know, bring yourself down in any way to appease public opinion. Sarah said modern business can be so counterintuitive sometimes. Polarizing views equals Authenticity, yeah. So definitely, I think it's counterintuitive. For me, I find that the more I listen to myself, the more all of my strategies are very intuitive to myself, right? It's counterintuitive to the rest of the business world. But if you think about this, like the rest of the business world has an 80% failure rate, right? So anything that goes against what everybody else is doing is a step in the right direction, right? It should go against that, because if you're following what everybody else is doing, 80% of you are going to fail, right? Nearly 80% of women entrepreneurs within Women Who Wow are six-figure earners or more, right? This is compared to 6% on the outside of Women Who Wow. So you want to make sure that you are being counterintuitive to the modern business culture, certainly. And also, Sierra, I'm glad that you mentioned the modern business culture, because, small business, being an entrepreneur didn't used to be difficult, it's probably always been difficult. But it didn't used to be complex, right? Like our great-great-grandparents, all of them were self-employed, right? And they did it successfully, and there wasn't an 80% failure rate. But it kind of goes to my point. As soon as the Industrial Revolution came along, then jobs started happening, and people had that as a fallback, right? So instead of gritting it out in their own business, they're like, I'll just get a job. And so the truth is, and I actually said this to a member a while back, and it's so funny, I will let her identify herself if she wants, but she was offered a job making about $120,000 a year. And it was a job that she would have enjoyed, and that she was doing some things that she really liked. And I messaged her and I said, listen, here's my view on jobs. If you can get a job, right, then you probably should, right? If you can be employed, it's probably the best option for you. I can't be employed. I am unemployable. And so, if you can get a job, then it's probably a better bet for you, because your mindset is not that rebellious kind of, I'm doing it my way, I'm going to make it happen, or, whatever. It's just not that. It's a mindset. If you can get a job, then maybe you probably should, right? So, so modern business can be counterintuitive, as it should be, because most of modern businesses are failing. And the other part of that is that we should be very intuitive regarding what we need to do every day, right? So I have a daily habits, it's not really a list so much. I do put my daily habits list in the membership quite often when we're talking about how to build an empire on your own terms. But the truth is, I just have a one primary daily habit where I do what I feel like I'm guided to do every single day, right? And so sometimes that's getting my hair blown out. Sometimes that's, getting a massage. Other times that's opening the phone lines and talking to new prospective members. Other times it's just writing my heart out, right? So the truth is, I follow my intuition a lot more. I've learned to trust it. And I encourage and work with my members all the time on following their own intuition, because when they do that, then they're no longer Stepfordpreneurs, right? They're no longer, what's another word? Sheeplepreneurs. They start to show up in their own way, because they're not worried about crossing off some list, or, making sure that the word count is exactly right, or making sure that their headlines are exactly right, or making sure that they've tagged the right people, or any of that. They're worried instead about showing up and serving people as fully themselves. Anyway, so this has been super fun, guys. I appreciate you guys. We did see a few new people. Sierra, if this was your first time, we know, with Women Who Wow, are coaching from the couch. So I really invite you to message me, m.me/Women Who Wow. Same for Leslie Christia. I'm excited to have you here. And for all of our members, thank you for joining me. Oh, and I think my mom was on here too. My mom got on here. So hey, Mama. All right. I am going to hop off I'll be back again tomorrow for some more coaching from the couch. And if you have any questions, if you want me to answer them for you on the next coaching from the couch session, let me know. And you can be anonymous if you'd like, so don't worry about that. Just let me know so I don't mention you. And if you have any questions about Women Who Wow, definitely reach out to me. And for every new member that we're getting this month, we're donating $100 to the Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters, who took care of my son in the past week. And that was a really traumatic week, but it was made so much better by CHKD. It's a great children's hospital in my area. So appreciate you guys, and I will talk with you later. Bye.